My name is Jeff Lahens, and I'm currently the Chief Marketing Officer for 9Tailors. It's a bespoke suiting company in Boston. And actually, this fall, what I'm doing as a personal project, I'm launching my company, Bréda, which is a purpose-driven brand. So with Bréda, everything that we do, everything that we sell, portion of the money would go to support nonprofit who are organizations that um, you know, helping kids to developing themselves, or any camps or any schools. So everything that we do will go and support kids education and kids development. So that's what Bréda is all about. As a project, it's a project I've been working on for a number of years. And, with this racial pandemic that we have right now, it really motivated me to push me further to get this project going. So this fall we'll be launching. That's what we do. That's my story. So yeah, my name is Jeff Lahens.
Good morning, my beautiful Haitian sensation.
That's my story as well.
How are you, my friend? I haven't seen you. I feel like I haven't seen you. Well, actually, I haven't seen you in for a long time. But the last time we saw each other, we were in Cambridge, and we were having pizza, and we were just catching up. That's like what we usually do. We just find different places and we catch up. But I have been seeing you light up on LinkedIn and on Facebook and all the socials, and I'm like, you know what? I need to catch up with him because he has done such a great job of making sure he has been present in the during this pandemics, all the pandemics that we're having. So I want to know more. But before we know all the things that you're working on, I want the world to know who you are. Like, where did you start from? Like, where did you come from? How did you get to the point where you are here, why we're talking? But who's Jeff?
Yeah, so Jeff's story started in Haiti, just like you just mentioned. I was born and raised in Haiti. Did all my education in Haiti, and I had the opportunity to finish high school home, and then come to the U.S. for college. So I did just that. After high school, I decided to move here for college, and actually, the goal was to go to your alma mater, which is Babson College, because my aunt, who was in Boston, she visited and she brought a brochure of Babson College, and then she said, "This is where that Jeff should go to school," just because she saw me, as little as very entrepreneur minded, always been a self starter, always been self reliant. So she said, "That's the school we need to Jeff needs to go to." So when I moved to Boston and I walked on the Boston campus thinking this is where I'm going to school, but after we saw the bill, realized Bridgewater State College, now Bridgewater State University, is good enough. So so that's my story. That's where that's my school that we went to that I went to school to, and it was awesome. So I really enjoyed the time and friends that we had during the time. And I graduated with a computer science degree. So in 4 years, that was also a time that taught me who I was as a person. College was full English, where before all my education was either in Creole or French. So which means I had to pivot and really, push forward to, graduate in 4 years. And computer science, I didn't have a computer when I was in Haiti. We had one at the school, but it was behind, steel doors and cage doors. It was just, computer for you to type a program. So I became a software engineer and worked as a engineer for 2 years. Then my company was laying off people, doing the 2000s and stuff like that. So I got laid off. But what happened? I learned a big story, a valuable lesson, that school and my parents prepared me to get a job, but did not prepare me for layoff, did not prepare me for losing a job. So that was a big shock for me. And that was my motivation. That was that callback, that I had when I was a kid of being an entrepreneur. That freedom to earn by yourself, and even when I had job, I always had like second jobs. So, even as an engineer, I had a low side hustle, but it was still a job. So, in college, I went to school full time and I worked full time. So, and I had summertime, I had already had multiple jobs. So, which means I always had that, having multiple sources of income, mindset, as little, but I never thought about somebody could take that away from me. And so that's what happened. And I realized that so I went into the world of finance, became a financial consultant as well. And that's where I really learned, power of compound interest and things like that. I said, wow, this is the way money works in this country. So, talk about savings, talk about, build something so you can have it for tomorrow, whatever have you. So I went to that world and again, big life lessons as well. Um, selling insurance and things like that, which really opened my eye. And the proudest moment that I have, and it's a bittersweet moment because as an insurance agent, one of my clients was a college friend of mine. And that college friend, committed suicide after college. And and when he did that, I was the only person at that funeral or at that moment who brought a check to his mom. So me as an insurance agent, that was why I was there. You know what I mean? So that, thinking about it now, I said this was the calling. Really help a friend of mine who I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know that was going to happen, but that was a goal. But anyway, so I got into that work, but being in that work, you wear suits all the time, you dress up and things like that. And another friend of mine from college again was actually founding a suiting company because, what happened, we had a tailor from, I believe Thailand was visiting us and he was making suit for us. And a good friend of mine, he just got his MBA from Babson. Again, this is the Babson world keep coming to me. And he felt that he can take over the world because of that MBA. So after the tailor life, he said, Jeff, why don't we start our own company? I said, doing what? So doing suits. I said, man, I'm just an insurance guy, man. I'm just, financial service guy. I'm good. So I just wear the suit. But after convincing him, he worked on a business plan, worked on everything. And a few months later, I said, hey, man, the business is launching. Let's go. So we launched ECC Life and Style, and we're making custom suits. We made bespoke suits the way they used to make them back in the old days. Multiple tailor, multiple touch points, multiple fitting. And so to this day, that was, I don't know, 12, 14 years ago, let's say. And to this day, I walk around and people, still have the suit that I built for them, 14 years ago. So, that's a long way to tell you my story, how I got here. Now,
Oh, wait. Let's not go for now yet. Because I'm gonna have to we're gonna break it down. I gave you that moment, but now we're gonna have to break it down. So most people assume that when you come to America, it's very, very hard for you to actually grab hold to what you want to do. Like most people just assume you come to America, especially when you're older, and you're just taking on any random jobs, or you are the engineer, like the Haitian way, the Caribbean way, the international way, doctor, lawyer, engineer. That's the jobs that are embedded into our brains. What was the hardest part? Not just learning the language, but what was the hardest part in regards of you have that entrepreneurial essence to you, but then you're going into engineering. You didn't get to go to the school that you wanted to, but then you went to another school. You figured out your way. What were the biggest challenges for you? Like getting your head in that mindset to succeed.
I think school for me is just the challenges. I mean, the language was one of the challenges. But because of the background that I had, because of the school that I went to when I was in Haiti, and that was a school that prepared you for college. That's a school that really pushed creativity, problem solving, use what you have situation. Um, it was just that. And the other fact that too, I didn't have my parents with me. So which means I didn't have a safety net. It's me versus the world, figure it out. So those are the things that we had to deal with, in the moment. It is hard. In the moment, it's different just because, I had my friends who, they're able to go home. I would go home to my aunt's house, but still wasn't my house. So I think that push to, get out as soon as possible, not stay comfortable, be comfortable in being uncomfortable, right? I'm talking to a runner here, so we're gonna get into that. Be comfortable, be in the uncomfortable. I think that was the thing for me. So really find out, maybe also the other thing that I did too was, looking what's working for some people and see how pretty much learning from others just by observing, right? I'm more of a talker now than I was back then. I'm, always, people don't think that I'm a shy person, but maybe,
I've never found you to be shy.
Again, I don't use that label on myself because it's a holdback. So, but still, I think that maybe it wasn't shyness. It would just be maybe just observing, before into a room. But once I'm in the space, I make it my own ownership of the space and able to share with others because that's important for me too. Like making a space that shareable for others, not just about me, but also other people. So I think those things help me grow. I can tell you a story. Being in Bridgewater, small college, I would go to not Babson again. I would go to Boston to networking events for colleges, and those are the things that I would find on my own for some way, somehow, or maybe the spirit would bring it to me, or some way like the universe or something working for me. To make sure that I find these opportunities. So I'll go out there in Boston and I would meet, in these networking events, I would meet like students from like Boston College, Boston University, Babson, Harvard, whatever have you, big schools, right? And then I would see these guys have business cards, but they're in college just like me. And I'm going back, why is my college not giving me business cards? So I get on the internet, back then, excite.com, right? I'll get on my Netscape, and then I'll find Vistaprint. And Vistaprint, I print my business card. So those are the things that I'm learning from others that was already here and see how I can duplicate it versus, oh, I don't have it, what do I do? Yeah.
So you're learning all these different skills. I mean, like the good thing is like you're a sponge. I mean, you're like myself, you are a sponge. You see things, you observe, you take that in, it's trial and error. And then you're like seeing this is something that is going to stick with me. I'm going to keep it. And this is like something that may not stick with me. So you went from insurance. I mean, all right, well, let's just talk about the side hustle first. I feel like that is like the Caribbean way. There's never one job. It's always, I've never had one job in my entire life. I think that, I'm sorry, when I worked for the governor, I had one job and I even know what to do with my empty time. Cause I'm like, everyone's like, you can't take on another job just because you never know when he needs you. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm so bored. I'm like twiddling my thumbs. So you always have the side hustle, but you went from insurance. And so was insurance the job or was it the side hustle while you were in school? And how did you go from all these different roles and what did you pick from each role that brought you to where you are now?
So no, insurance was after college. Insurance was after I became an engineer. After I got laid off, that's what I went to. In college, I worked at the bank. I worked full time at Bay Bank, Fleet Bank.
I remember. I used to have a. I remember that so well.
I mean, I can tell you the full story of what happened there. And it's still like I'm getting my CV. So what happened, how I had those jobs? When I got here, I didn't have any experience because again, I was in Haiti and I came to college. I would walk into a McDonald's and say, I have no experience for a McDonald's job. I said, man, I just got here. Of course I have no experience. Why can't you just give me the job? I'm a college student. No. So I would walk different places trying to get a job. Again, it was important for me to get a job. So that was from September to January. I never got a job, and I would walk in the winter and try to look for jobs. So what happened while I'm in school now, my calculus teacher decided not to give me my grade because he gave a test, and everybody he wanted us to use a calculator for the test. And when you do the calculator, you get all the decimal numbers. And because a year before, a few months earlier, I was doing the same, theorem in Haiti. So I already learned how to do it without a calculator. Yeah. But we round off the numbers. So I give the test. He said, you got the answers, but you didn't give me all the decimal numbers. I said, well, what's the problem? Even my answer, I said, well, what's the problem? He said, well, I need all the decimal numbers. So he said, let's take it to the dean. So he took it to the dean, and the dean looked at him like, why are you in here? So the dean, and he said, well, I can't give him a grade because he didn't use all the decimal numbers. And dean said, well, he got the answers. What's the problem? And I'm looking at him like, yeah, what's the problem, dude? So the dean said to him, and then it's almost like mom and dad arguing in front of me. Mm-hmm. And the dean was a white woman, and this teacher was a white man as well. Yeah. And he was upset. He left, and he gave my grade. And the dean, after he left, the dean said, you're a first semester freshman. I cannot give you a job right now, but next semester, come with me, work for me as a tutor. Okay. So I became a math tutor. That was my first job. With that job, I was able to take that job to UPS now I have an experience. From UPS, because UPS worked you so hard, I was able to get my third job at Home Depot. So having a math tutor in my resume, having Home Depot in my resume as a cashier, I was able to get a job at a credit union, Crescent Credit Union in Brockton. Okay. And from Crescent Union, now I'm working at a bank. Mm-hmm. And I realized for me to get up, I need to go for a bigger brand. So therefore, I went to a bigger brand, and that became Baybank. So from Baybank merged with Fleet and became Bank America. So from having those big brands in my resume, it allowed my future employer, even when we're doing college recruiting, and that's how I met my first company that hired me as a software engineer. But there was a lineage of, reliable jobs and reliable companies that was backing me up. And so after college, after I became an engineer, when I got laid off, mm-hmm. And I realized what did I do when I was in college was money management, which is the bank. And that's what brought me to insurance. So that's what brought me to the world of finance and the world of insurance.
Quick question before we go into the fashion, how you got into the fashion world is, can you just talk about how important it is, how you strategically picked out jobs that were stepping stones? Can you talk about how important that is for anyone in regards of why did you go that route? I mean, yes, it is for money. You wanted to pay bills, etc. But you could have gotten a job at McDonald's, at CVS. You could have gotten these random jobs. You got jobs that were in the same realm, but got a little bit higher. Can you talk about why and how you got there?
Again, I think the problem solver part of me. It's not something that somebody was telling me, or definitely I was talking to people, or always be out there networking. But there was something that tells you can either work for a big company to build your resume, or come from a big school. Mm-hmm. I was working, I was coming from a small school. So therefore it's about that, gradual growth. So if you your new resume, it has to be from like a job that is gonna get you, find out where you're gonna go to. Like for example, if banking was your world and you're 16 years old, you cannot get in the bank right now, but you can get a cashier job. Start there. I think that was the thing that was working for me in terms of really study, see what the destination is and see what steps need to be taken, or maybe some person that took the step before. I think that was for me in terms of it's other a brand, just like I mentioned to you. Notice that I was working at a local credit union, but to be seen by the world, I needed to go for more a bigger brand, and that's what I did.
Smart, so smart, so smart. So now you are all about finance, all about money, all about engineering, all about strategic thinking, and then you go into fashion.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a quick. I mean, yes, I know that you dress extremely well. I've seen these suits. These suits are beautiful. My dad was a tailor in Haiti, so I also appreciate everything about making a suit. When my dad died 5 years ago, my god brother got all the suits, and he's my goodness gracious, my brother is 31, and he wears these suits so amazingly, and my dad made them in the 60s. It's just like a well-made suit is a well-made suit, end of story. And so tell me about your transition. How was that for you, and how did you find your way where you start to stand out?
Yeah, again, I always give credit to my boy Sean Harris, who really brought me to this world. I don't think without him, and I would be here, just because he the one that really said, let's do this. And yeah, for me, it was just, I realized when we started making those suits and I started changing them, I started making my own with, maybe the lining, we'll change the lining.
Wait a second. You were a finance person. Who taught you how to sew?
So, being a business person, we didn't have to sew it. We outsourced it,
Okay.
so we really outsource it, and find ways to make it our own. So the idea was to, what is it if you cannot make it yourself, who else can make it? Mm-hmm. Right. And when you outsource it, you really focus on your strength, what you can do well, so that way you can get what you want. So so that was the idea about, where we found this company. No, none of us went to school for design. None of us went to school for tailoring, but we knew how to outsource it.
What was the most challenging part now? So now you've gone from, and I keep going through, you've gone through finance, the engineering, and now you're in this brand new industry. What were the major obstacles that you had to deal with? Because again, you knew about strategy, you knew about what your strengths were, but now you're in this new industry that you weren't aware of. Wearing clothes is not the same thing as promoting it and getting people to be engaged engaged with the brand. So what were the obstacles for you in that aspect? And also, what were the things that you loved the most? How would you describe that feeling of you knew you were doing it and the aha, this is a great moment?
Yeah, I think for us, the obstacle was, again, when being, self-funded company. I think that was the biggest thing for us, in terms of, new brand, competing with bigger names. Also, new world where we actually educating men to wear suits. We educating men to love suits. This is a time that, polo shirt and khaki pants is very in fashion, so those are the obstacle for us. But when we started to be more, like, for example, for me, started to be more out there and dressing up, people were actually enjoying what I was wearing, and and because the way I was wearing it as well, I was very comfortable in wearing those clothes. And what I tap into was my innate style. I was growing up, I would see my dad, when my dad was going to work, he would be dressed up, and he would be dressed up into suits, and he was in Haiti. It was hot. So you can tell me, with this weather, beautiful weather, you cannot wear 3-layer suit. So it's very hard for me to comprehend that. So I didn't accept I cannot do it. And now it's also showing now, the folks that we're addressing as well also help because we're addressing some very high profile guys who themselves they're leaders in their industry. So therefore, if the leader dressed a certain way, if I want to be a leader, I'm going to dress the same way as well. So I think that's also helped us in very short time build a very big brand, small big brand for us. I think my creativity also helped because what we were doing with those suits, I was giving personality. We were using fabric. If I go to an office and meet a group of guys and I show them one set of fabric and tomorrow I come back to the same office and his friends or his coworker want to pick that same fabric, I would say, you know what? I cannot sell you that fabric because so-and-so already have it. Mm-hmm. So which means like, I don't want you to wear the same thing as the other guy. I want you to be you. So into this day, even when I dress people today, I'm always telling them, I want you to be you. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be this next guy. I want you to be you. And really, you want to dress if it's in your back and it feels like you, you're going to wear it. You're going to feel like you want to wear it. And that was the goal. I think for us, that personalization that, AI trying to personalize right now, it's hard to do. But I think for us, that personalization was what kept us going and what people appreciate about us.
I think that's I think that's one of the things that you said that is perfect is like when I was younger and when you went out to go get a prom dress, that place where you went to get the prom dress, they didn't allow more than one person to have the same dress. So they made sure that everyone stood out. And if they had two dresses, it was like you in this town get this dress, and then they would document where the dress was sold. So that way it's like 2-3 towns over that you can wear that another person has a dress. They always wanted their customers to stand out. And I love that you bring that back where just to say, yes, guess what? I can sell a lot of these suits if I wanted to, but I'm choosing to make sure that our company stands out by making sure you stand out, which is one of the biggest things that I promote the most, where every single time I'm working with a client, you have to find ways to stand out above your above your competitors, because at the end of the day, you can be cut and copied. I mean, people have other options, but to work with companies that go out of their way to have you stand out is phenomenal. So I love that you actually made sure that they were aware of that, and you were educating them on how that works.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, like even if they would pick the same fabric, they say very light, man, I just need a navy suit. We'll add little details into that clothes. I mean, with the button stitching, there's a lot of stuff I see, brands are doing now. Back then, we were just pushing it, and it just worked for us. We were making guys excited about wearing suits because they couldn't wait for us to come back. So, oh my God, I can't wait to have it. And we weren't selling them cheap. They were not cheap. And that was the thing also for us, like production was high for us because you got to think like multiple shipping, multiple fitting, I'm sourcing fabric from UK and places like that. So things were not cheap for us. So,
but how does the industry convert now? So yes, you mentioned at the beginning. I mean, we live in Massachusetts where it's very casual. I mean, you're seeing casual. I mean, I've done this I've done this little game every summer. I go to Post Office Square during lunch for 45 minutes. I sit there and I count how many khaki pants and how many blue or pink shirts. And I mean, I'm no exaggeration. In 45 minutes, 85 is where I am right now. At 85 men going with the same exact carbon copy uniform. And now you're getting, when I go to New York, I love it. Whether you're a bike carrier, whether you are a UPS, everyone has their style that really makes them stand out. The pandemic happens. And now that whole entire realm of casual is casual. Full on people are wearing pajamas. They're wearing they're just not even caring anymore. So how do we get the individual, how does the industry survive this?
Yeah, man. Retail, especially clothing retail, was, in trouble even before COVID. So, now it's just, here's the thing. People would not wear pants if they didn't have to. People would not dress up. it didn't happen. If it was for people like all of us, if it was up to us, we're probably walking butt naked all the time. You
I
know,
blame Adam and Eve.
exactly. I mean, it's just our nature. But if you're gonna want me make me wear something in my back, it better be comfortable, it better look good. Those are the two options that people will go with. Okay. All right, fine. I'll wear pants, but please make it comfortable. Fine, I'll wear a shirt. It's got to look. So that was the thing. So brands who are so now the consumer are looking for options in terms of getting a Zoom call. I think a lot of people got in trouble, when pandemic hit, they had to quarantine. They're like, well, I'm home. I'm just gonna get a Zoom call with my sweatshirt, whatever I have you. There's actually the video, I don't know if you saw it, that I put out to say, to alert everybody about their personal branding. Don't forget, you still have a personal brand that you've been working on for a number of years to build. You've been at this office for a long time. These people only see you for, as a certain person. So that's your brand. That brand get you that promotion. That brand get you that customer. All of a sudden, don't throw that thing away. You don't have to wear a three-piece suit on Zoom, whatever have you, or get all that all the time on Zoom. But still, there's options for you to make sure you maintain that brand. So there's that video I put out there and really help people to kind of, and after that, there's a bunch of them out there that came out as well. But I think people are learning now, this is going to be this is going to be the way business is going to work out now. There's more, I'm not going to have to travel 10 miles to go see a client. That client, I'm going to see him face to face. So therefore, let me get a nice button-up shirt. I may not need to wear like suit and tie all the time, unless, I'm a politician, whatever have you. But even then, there's certain meetings, I'm going to have one layer of a jacket, and this is what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the options that are going right now. And what the industry is changing is really focused on essentials. So what are my essential items? So the way the industry is going now is more like what is it that I need? And so brands who are winning right now are essential brands that thinking I can offer an essential product. So yeah.
Well, when you're saying, all right, so yes, I understand that whole entire concept of people not taking care of the brand. I was doing a speech for one of the universities here, one of the Ivies. So you can guess which school that is. And I had to tell a young woman during this, I had to stop my speech and say, can you please get up out of bed? And she was clearly wearing her pajamas. And I'm thinking, if I can see this, the entire class can see this. So it is one of the moments where people are a little bit more aware, or even just the setting of wherever you are. They're like, well, I live in a very, very boring place, or you're always on dark. You have to show your face. It is your brand. So yes, I'm 100% with you on that one. How did you, so tell me about what you're working on right now. So you've been working on all these different things, but again, you were by far one of the first people with masks and designer masks. And because one of my, as a runner, biggest pet peeve is those disposable gloves and masks everywhere in the streets right now. And back in the day, I see trash, I pick it up, I put it in the trash can. I'm not picking up your mask. I have no idea if you have the pandemic or not. And so it's so frustrating for me to see all those disposable masks, because it's not that hard to wash your mask and hang it out to dry like you're gonna wash your underwears. So you were the first one to start getting in, you saw what was happening and you clearly got into that mix very quickly. But talk about during the pandemic, how did you transition, and also what you're going to be working on right now?
Yeah, so 9Tailors, we had to create masks. We were a brand that's about our community, and we see the need to. That was more of helping out the community. So when we did a mask, we were partnering with tailors, local tailors here, who didn't have a job, or didn't have work to do because nobody's coming to the tailor shop to get their shirt altered, getting their pants altered. So we were really looking for tailors to partner with to start creating masks. And those masks that we're creating, we also were donating to facilities like a nursing home and things like that. But they like to look nice, they had to look nice. So we made them look nice just because that's our brand. And also we started making for kids as well, because we're realizing that a lot of parents, I'm a, husband and wife family, So I was going to the supermarket where my wife was staying home with the kids, but their families who didn't have that option.
Mhm.
So their families who actually had to bring their kids to the supermarket and shop. So that's why we started making, and have kids, and Sam, who's also have kids, owner of 9Tailors, so she also have kids. So we also make sure that that we created masks for the kids. But then with what I'm working on now is very in line to not only what's happening with COVID, but also how COVID affected, you know, areas that were people that were not as fortunate as I am. The immigrant families who, like I mentioned, they're also the essential workers. Those immigrant families, they had to go to work, but their kids had to learn online. But some of them don't have the access to quality internet that just like you and I are doing right now. So those things really motivate me to support anything that has to do with, Black and immigrant population. And I think, for me, what got me here, where I can sit in front of you on the screen, is my education. What we've been talking about here is my transformation, but that transformation always been some way, somehow, in some sort of schooling, some sort of learning. So that, to me, that's my way to giving back to my community and help the next generation really focus on school, really focus on build themselves, really focus on knowing themselves and believe in their creativity. So those are things that we're gonna do. Really, we're a big STEM family here. We're doing STEM education. My daughter, she drew beautiful art, and with that art that she would draw, she would draw. I show her that's your strength. That's your Aki guy, right? My son, who's big, movement soccer guy. I mean, during COVID, I mean, speaking of somebody that refused to wear pants. So realizing that he needed sports more than anything. So we make sure that he's, getting his movement in sports. So what I'm saying is there's families who don't have that opportunity. So I want to make sure that I'm empowering the next family to be able to find opportunities. And that's why the brand Bréda is a purpose-driven brand. So anything that we do, everything that we sell, will go fund education and development of youth, Black youth.
So what are the products that Bréda will be actually creating?
Aha!
Aha! You knew I was going to ask that question. Come on. It's like it was a low-hanging fruit question.
I mean, things are true to us, man. We're gonna go back to our roots. Traditional wear. We're gonna go back to our roots. Things are, man, that's Haitian made. You're gonna be like, man, those things are African made. So we're gonna go back to our roots. And what I want to do too.
I love how you're being like, we're gonna go back to our roots. You still didn't answer my question, or is it just wait and see kind of a situation?
Aha! You remember that scene in Coming to America when the guy told a joke and nobody get it? It's like, aha!
So all right. I'll wait and see. But I do love when you do say going back to the Haitian roots. I know the clothes. I can visualize them. Most people have no idea what that really means. The shirt that you're wearing is very close to, but not so. But again, I know what you're talking about, sort of, kinda. Is it gonna be female, male, children? Is it gonna be male? Like what? Who gets to play with the toys?
Here's the thing, man. I'm passionate about menswear. I'm passionate about menswear. Last couple years ago, we even at 9Tailors, we started doing men's suiting. We started doing female body suiting. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I missed that. We didn't start doing it. We were doing it for a number of years, but we never spoke to the female because we were not putting on marketing, and that was a mistake of ours. Yep. But we realized that now, we're very male and female bodies. We change our language and make but my core remained menswear. So when we were trying to figure out how to make sure that our suit gets softer, our suit get, more female, it was a struggle for me to go there because that was not my background.
Yep.
My background was menswear, just in the guys, empowering the guys. And that's my thing. I want to empower guys. Now I'm empower black guys, so everything that I do would be menswear. We'll have some female component to it, or maybe just people component to it as well, where it's no gender specific kind of thing. But it always will have a male focus to it. So that's what we do.
So this morning I was saying, I had mentioned to you before we started recording that in the shower, which is the place where I come up with my mojo, literally it's my place. It's like my Zen place. But one question that came up so clearly for me about you was, you are like the Madonna, as in not Jesus and Madonna, but like Madonna, Cher, Prince. You're constantly, there's always a evolution of who Jeff is. And throughout the times that I've met you, you've always evolved, and every single thing that you've evolved to is bigger and better, but also it's always a continuance of what you've done in the past. So can you tell, and like for anyone that's thinking, oh, I'm a one-trick pony, what would you say to a person that's saying, like, I only do one thing, like I don't do anything else? What would you say to a person like that on how do they succeed when they're only in their mindset thinking, I only can do one thing?
I celebrate that. I celebrate the person that I can only do one thing and they do it well. I celebrate that person because they're focused on, everybody have their strength. Everybody got their who they are. With me, I'm always been this multifaceted guy, in terms of, but at the end of the day, it's just, I'm solving a problem, and I'm very, and what I realized, and it took me some time, you said that I'm very active on social. I actually took a very long time away from social because there was a point that I didn't like the person I was being on social. I felt like I wasn't, I was getting lost in this social realm. So I took a step back and really focused on, and a lot of purposeful way of inner me kind of thing, and pick up a lot of spiritual stuff. And now the person I'm projecting is what I'm celebrating about myself. So what I celebrate about myself is my community, how I support my community. And what I celebrate myself is the fact that I'm very in tune with retail and marketing. So I celebrate that. What I celebrate myself is, my rum and, things like that in the books that I read. So I'm celebrating that. So I think, we as people, there's multiple sides of us. It depends what side we want to, promote and share people. So there's so many part of me, so many, I think, milieu that I frequent, that it's always easy for me to not just be that one guy. But, for example, when I grew up, I felt like I was able to, I can have a conversation with somebody on the street. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I can have a conversation with somebody on the hill, and I'm very comfortable in those milieux just because that's the way I grew up. And so I think that's what people are seeing. The guy doesn't matter the area, doesn't matter the boat, we're going to find a way to be on it. So I think that's what it is. So.
How was this pandemic for you? We had two great, huge, dynamic pandemics. We are dealing with COVID. We are dealing with race relations. And then we're watching the economy, and in a couple of months, the elections. So how has that been for you and your family? School starting. Mm-hmm. People's school has started. I don't know if your kids have started school yet. There's just been a lot in 1 year. So how have you been able to balance everything and keep your relationship alive, for everyone being home?
Yeah. My dad is a basketball coach, and he taught me the best, offense, the best defense is offense, actually. So when COVID hit, I went on offense, and the way I went on offense is by definitely working on myself. I changed my diet. That's one thing, because I heard one way to against this virus is to strengthen your immune system.
Mhm.
So definitely only focus on things that are going to be strengthen that immune system, and definitely wear masks and things like that. But also in the household, we're quarantined for a long period of time, so there's no reason why our space should not be comfortable. So I think we work on systems where our space can be comfortable. So we had to empty out a lot of stuff in the house, create more space. With the skid, we came up with a schedule for their school, to make sure that everybody knew where they need to be and what time they need to be for school. So those things kind of helped us to be more resilient during those times. And also, we're as a family, we're trying to do a lot more activity together, which is sometimes very hard just because the schedule was still very busy. But I think those are things that we're, as a family, we're trying to do in terms of like trying to prepare for COVID, or during the pandemic.
Did you marry well?
I'm sorry?
Did you marry well?
I married up right now. And you past, this is, I was going to talk about her logo in a minute, which is right behind me. So those are the things we had to do. So.
All right. So my last question that I have for you is, and I ask this of everybody, but I always want people to understand how hard everyone is working, and how, not only how hard, but how innovative people are. It doesn't matter what background you're from, how innovative people are. So if you had a personal and a professional ask to anyone that's listening, what would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask?
My personal ask is to do what is it that you need to do to make you feel comfortable. Okay. Really, and without the detriment of others, because, sometimes I'm comfortable here, but it might make somebody uncomfortable, right? I think that's where just get comfortable, do whatever it takes for you to get comfortable in your own skin. Because I think those are the work that I had to do, and those are the work that I'm doing right now as well. Just be very comfortable with who I am, so that way I can help others. Earlier you asked me, how did COVID change? Things that I worked on during COVID was one thing. I got a certification from MIT on digital marketing and analytics. So that was the thing during COVID. I think about going offense, so really working on me. So because I realized this is something I'm gonna need, huge, because the world is being more digital. So what is it that I need right now to be more comfortable with the changing world? Get education, get educated. So I got comfortable with that. Then you're talking about me being physical. I'm actually also working on my yoga teaching certification as well. So not only I'm learning, but again, I feel like I have to learn it. I can't just learn in the book. I feel like I got to learn it big. I just got to get certified in it. So, but those are the things by learning those things, I feel I'm more comfortable in my skin. I'm more comfortable in this world. So I think that's one thing. That's the first ask. The second ask, what was the second ask again?
The professional ask.
Professional ask. I think those two things were professional ask in terms of get self-development. And I think if you're not sure, either get an advisor or a mentor. Get an advisor or mentor. Mentor will definitely know everything about you. The advisor will be more specific. If you're working on something, I would probably suggest get an advisor before you get a mentor, because sometimes I think people get a mentor, they're just like, oh, I'm going to let the mentor do all the work for me. Yeah. And everybody's busy. Nobody got the time for you. But an advisor might say, you know what, I'm working on X, Y, and Z. Yeah. I'm trying to get to this company, or I'm trying to get this company to launch. What do you think I'm missing here? So I think those are professional. I would ask that person, I would tell that person to do. And I think that will also build up your confidence, because, we can do it all. Sometimes we just need a little push. Sometimes we just need a little bit of a reassurance that we can do it all. So I think having a mentor and advisor would definitely help you long run.
I love it. Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it. I love it. You are the best. I like you. You're cool. You're a cool guy.
The feeling's mutual. I've seen what you do, and I've seen you continue to grow. I see you as my sister. I see you. The thing that you do right now. This is what you do, and thank you for sharing your gift with the world, because you're highlighting some very high profile professionals that people should know about. And I'm just thankful that you see me as one of them. So.
Oh no, again, what you do is so amazing. I mean, and I like people are just seeing just a little bit of what you're doing because of what you're talking about, because you're being very humble. But you've done so much for so long, and you've done it so well and seamlessly. You have the children, and your dedication to your family is leaps and bounds. Your dedication to yourself, your dedication to checking in on all of us, like to make sure, like, hey, how are you doing? I mean, we have it in us to grow and to see the world as in the world is large to some, but it's very small to us, because we know that there's nothing that's not possible. But we never stop helping our community because it's what we know the most. Starting from a small little island, all the way coming in from into the United States to the world, our community is very, very, very important to us, and we will do whatever it takes to make sure our community succeed. And I love seeing how you're constantly finding other ways to help the community grow, and that within making sure that you are constantly testing, and even just like the yoga and the MIT, like, I mean, everything you're doing is constantly this, like, I'm going to continue to grow because I have one life and I want to do the best with it. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your knowledge and your wisdom, and just like all these little snippets of things that you said about your life that people are here. They're like, I didn't think it was, because people are stuck. People right now are home and they're stuck thinking, I have this job. Yeah, I'm happy I have a job. I'm home. I'm getting paid. But I'm like, when I'm done with the Zoom, I'm looking around the house thinking, is this it? Is this it?
Yeah.
And you just sharing your story tells a lot of people it's not it.
Nope. It's not. There's a lot more going.
So thank you so very much, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At the end of the year, I literally am like end of the year, beginning of the year, I'm going to check in with everyone to see how this evolved and how once things start opening, like new normal, I want to see how everyone pans out.
All right. So hopefully I have more to share to you.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.